Hi everybody, thanks for joining me for another video blog. Let's talk about pain today. You know how much I love to talk about stress. And if you are an athlete, a recreational professional athlete, or you just a fitness enthusiast who loves to stay fit by going to the gym, lifting weights, swimming, I'm just a fitness enthusiast and I know how much stress I get into it if I cannot do the things I love. Like I remember years ago when I had tremendous issues with my low back, as I shared like with you 2 or 3 weeks ago, my whole journey of back pain. A lot of people suffer of shoulder pain, and shoulder pain can be a huge stressor. When you cannot do the things you love, you add stress to your emotional level, to your mental level. So movement is extremely important. So we're going to talk about one of the most common mistakes I see people making when it comes to rehabilitating shoulder impingement or rotator cuff injury, or even just preventing a shoulder injury. So very quickly here, let's just touch a little bit about anatomy of the shoulder and talk about why the shoulder joint is so prone for injuries, without getting too deep into spinal issues, because there are many causes to shoulder injury. To postural fault, meaning your spine position, to working too many hours on the computer, have a forward head position, force your head to be in this position for too long, emotional stress that causes to tense a lot of the muscles around your neck area, improper techniques, lifting weights in the gym. So there are many reasons for shoulder injuries. So the shoulder is a very complex joint for the simple reason that if you lift your arm right now, if you move your shoulder, you're going to notice that you can move your shoulder in every single direction. You can do a shoulder flexion, you can do a shoulder extension, abduction, adduction, and then with all those 4 movements described, you combine them and you can move your arm pretty much 360 degrees. So with that said, every time you're moving your arm, you're not moving just your arm. You're moving your arm against the spine of the scapula, against the clavicle, and also against your rib cage. So there are really 4 joints here. When you lift when you move your shoulder, you're moving basically 4 joints. And these joints have all these intrinsic muscles called the rotator cuff. And a very common injury that happens, that I helped a lot of people to rehab in the past when I was a full-time trainer, is a rotator cuff injury, specifically this muscle called supraspinatus, who is the muscle in charge of lifting your arm. So most time when people have shoulder injury, it's related to lifting the arm either this way, abduction, or lifting the arm overhead. And that happens for a simple reason. That muscle, it's sitting right here. So I'm going to show you this other shoulder. Imagine my finger being that muscle. And every time you raise your arm, this poor guy got all twisted here, but every time you raise your arm, if you have an impingement, if you have an injury, you lift your arm for more than 30 degrees, and if your scapula is not moving well, which is one of the main reasons a lot of people have shoulder impingements, is because the scapula is not gliding properly against the rib cage. This is the scapula. So if your scapula is not moving and you're lifting your arm about 30 degrees and you have no pain, but then above 30 degrees you start having pain, it's because you're squeezing that muscle. Imagine that muscle is my finger. I'm going to show you very close here. You're impinging that muscle right in between the head of your humerus, the bone in your arm, and the spine of your scapula. So that's what's causing pain. So how do we take care of the pain, or most like prevent? As I always say, rehabbing exercises can also be preventive exercises. So one of the most common mistakes I see in the gym, let me grab my band, it's people warming up before they lift weights, and they warm up with exercise like external rotation of the shoulder, or internal rotation of the shoulder, or another way to external rotate is in this position here. So basically they do external rotation, internal rotation this way, and then with the elbow tucked in. What is the problem with that? I just shared with you why the shoulder joint is prone for so many injuries, because we can move the shoulder in every single direction. Therefore, if you like to warm up before your your weight sessions, or you like to include these rotator cuff exercises on your shoulder routine, make sure when you're doing this exercise, the internal rotation, you can continue doing, but make sure you're working in every single angle, not just with your elbow tucked in, because let's face it, what do you do in your life with your elbow tucked in? There's no motion in your life that your elbow is touching your torso like that. Everything your elbow is floating around in a transverse plane. So make sure when you're doing your internal rotation, for example, you're exploring every single angle, even above the head. If you don't have an injury, if you're doing this for prevention, do the movement in all different angles. And if I do externally, same thing. You can start with the elbow tucked in, then you lift up like 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40, 90, 100, 120, work in every single position. So a lot of times when I warming up for lifting, I just play around. I don't even count, and I just move my body around in every single position. So I make sure I'm exploring every single angle of my shoulder environment. Because again, if you have a circle around when you move your shoulder, just picture a few dots around the circle and try to touch with your hand every single dot. That way you're creating strength on every area of range of motion. Because this is the thing, lifting weights could be stabilizing your shoulder, but could also be destabilizing your shoulders. So I can get it to be a very long video if I start talking about all the reasons why your shoulder might hurt. But this is a common thing that I see in the gym a lot, and I thought I would share with you. So if you're interested in learning more about shoulder strength, shoulder scapular stabilization, shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'm happy to schedule a session with you and do an assessment. I am offering a 30% off all my assessment sessions regarding shoulder injury right now. So if you have shoulder issues or know somebody with shoulder issues, just give me a call and I probably can help you out. And if you're not sure what is going on with your shoulder, before you even call me, make sure you consult a doctor and make sure you don't have anything more serious besides a rotator cuff or a labrum tear on your shoulder. Getting information through an MRI, it's always helpful so you know what's going on there. So thank you so much, and stay tuned for more videos on shoulder injuries coming very soon. Thank you so much.